Bobby, where are you on this whole expulsion debate?
So firstly, I would say it's a complex issue. It's one where there isn't really necessarily a black and white answer. But what I will say is that at primary school level, it is a rare event. Permanent expulsion only occurs to a school once every decade or so. But I think what's alarming is, in terms of the stats over the last decade or so, we've seen, I think, about 600 primary school exclusions by about 2010. And by 2018, it doubled to 1,200. So obviously, it's a rising issue. And I'd say as a teacher, permanent exclusions are seen as the measure of last resort. They shouldn't be the go-to. If someone's disruptive, someone's challenging the learning needs of others, it shouldn't be the first thing. Oh, yeah, we're going to exclude this child. I think it should be in terms of looking at what are the earliest interventions. And I think Lizzie and Owen are talking about what can we do at the earliest stage possible to support the child. And again, understanding why is that child exhibiting those particular behaviors. So I think it's obviously, as a teacher, it's the last thing that we want to expel a child, but it is still an option that should be there as a last resort for any school.
Oh, God.
But what I was going to say is doing a brief suspension from school, is that enough? And then looking into the reasons why they're behaving in the way they are. Is that a kind of option rather than just expelling? As you said, expelling is the last resort.
Yes, you're right, Lizzie. And I think again, I can speak for my school and schools I've been to. Generally, it will be a sort of step-by-step process. If a student's disruptive, normally, again, first the detention, then you bring the parents in, then maybe you have a meeting with the head of year. So it's definitely a hierarchy. And I can't imagine schools that ever expel someone immediately, unless it's a really serious offense. For most cases, it is step-by-step. So I think temporary suspensions hopefully can address the issue. But again, the key thing is, even if you temporarily suspend a child for a couple of days, it's trying to understand what is the reason. Are there issues going on at home? Are there specific learning needs? And again, this could be an issue of schools suffering with funding issues and therefore not being able to spend the time and effort to actually really get to the core of the problem.
Bobby, can I ask you, what do you think about tying the future school results of excluded pupils to the school? And the reason I ask that, is there a danger that some schools kick out kids who are underperforming because that improves their league table results, and you can disincentivise that by making them permanently responsible for how well those kids do in grades in the future?
Yes, I think, Owen, that's an excellent point, because there are reports of schools that before exam results will off-roll pupils. And often these are the ones from the most disadvantaged backgrounds and potentially having behavioral issues. So schools should be held accountable. If a child joins a school at 5 or 11, I think there should be a responsibility for that school, even if they're seen at a pupil referral unit, to be responsible for their education till 16 or 18, whatever it is. So there's definitely a serious issue there.
That's a really interesting point. Well,